Manchester City destroyed Tottenham at Etihad. And what is going on with Tottenham Hotspur? They lead 2-0 up at the end of the first half against Manchester City, and at the end of the match they lost 4-2. How is this happened, right? How is this happened? Why Tottenham Hotspur is so bad? One of the best manager, another one of the best manager. So there are a lot of weakness at Tottenham Hotspur. We are seeing that we are witnessing now. Tottenham need to change a lot of things to get better. So I think it's now huge pressure for Antonio Conte because they are not showing their performance consistently. And lately they are showing better performance. They didn't get a good result, so it means it will be huge pressure for and Antonio Conte, especially after today's games. Think about it. Manchester City didn't start a 5 or the most important player for their teams, and they could still beat it. They can still beat Tottenham Hotspur. I can even say like easily. They can still beat easily. There were no Kevin De Bruyne, there were no trevorhtun, there were no Joao Cancelo, there were no Walker and Bernardo Silva at the first half, but they still beat Tottenham Hotspur. So think about it, how bad how bad is Tottenham Hotspur at the moment? I couldn't even believe it. They leaded 2-0 up, they scored a quality goals and they lost a 4-2, which is actually hate to see, if you are Spurs fan, because a lot of bad things are happening at Tottenham Hotspur. First of all, I think Tottenham Hotspur need to change goalkeeper. I know Hugo Lloris had nothing to do. Today lost. I know that, but he is over 35 years old, and and of course he is getting weaker and weaker. He made a mistake. Is not for today. He made a mistake is the previous games. That's why I think they need to change goalkeeper position, because they need refresh goalkeeper. They need a new generation. Okay, and especially the most weakness player for Tottenham Hotspur, and they need to change immediately, is a defensive line. Okay, they have a 3 defensive and 2 wing back. So basically mean they play 5 back. Even though they play 5 back, they conceded 4 goals, which is pretty bad. Especially the 3 defensive trio have they didn't have a really great structure. They have a weak structure. Okay, Eric Dyer is not good enough anymore as a center back, and Ben Davies is getting weaker and weaker. Christian Romero is not ready yet, even though he is ready. If we can say, if we can say that Christian Romero is ready, he didn't have a partner. It doesn't matter how good you are, when your partner is screwing up, you can be good. That's why I think Tottenham Hotspur defensive strategy and defensive structure, defensive line is so bad, and they need to change. Maybe technically or mostly they need to change a player. They need a new player. They need a strong player. Steven Lenglet, the boy, the man who came from Barcelona, he even made a mistake, and Mahrez scored for his second goal and 4th Manchester City goal. So which means Spurs is pretty bad. Defending. They concede a lot of goals. And in midfield, of course, the Bentenga is back, but he is not fit 100% yet. That's why Antonio Conte stepped him off and put the Bazuma on the pitch, and he didn't make a huge impact for Tottenham Hotspur. In the attacking trio, I think the only person who are doing good at the moment is Kulusevski. Kulusevski show his performance consistently. Harry Kane is a good, Harry Kane is a, monster. He is a quality striker, but at the moment he is screwing up. And Son Heung-min need to do a lot. Son Heung-min needs to do a lot to get his performance back, like a previous season. Okay, the attacking trio need a lot of work to do. Okay, so that's why I think most of the time Tottenham are conceding goals, which is because they had a pretty bad defensive structure. That's why they need to rebuild this defensive structure. I think for Manchester City, I was surprised because there are no 5 important players for against Tottenham Hotspur, which is very difficult for them to beat because every time they face against Tottenham Hotspur, they were struggling to win. But today, they were lucky. Can we say that? Or they have, of course, they deserved, they deserved 3 points. But what I'm trying to say is, they concede 2 goals. If there's any other thing in a Spur position, there is no way Manchester City will score 4 goals and at the second half. That's why I think Manchester City were a bit lucky, and of course they deserve to win. It was a great comeback for Manchester City, but it was too risky for Manchester City because they didn't put a fight for the most important player for them, and they can stay beat Tottenham Hotspur. So after hearing this, you can see how Tottenham Hotspur is doing pretty bad at the moment. That's why I think now it is a huge pressure for Antonio Conte. Conte need to solve his defensive problem, whether it is technically or with or player's ability or player need to sign or what kind of it is. Antonio Conte need to find solutions as much as he can because it is now risky. It is at the moment it is very risky for his manager role at Tottenham Hotspur. Maybe Antonio Conte is trying to get away from Tottenham Hotspur job. We don't know, right? But of course he needs to solve his defensive option. The defensive line is pretty worse, and it's not good enough to face a team like Manchester City against, right? So I think Tottenham doesn't have enough quality to finish top 4 at the end of the season. Even if they are even if they try to sign a really good player, I think it will take time to adapt Antonio Conte's technique or Antonio Conte's system. That's why I think for Tottenham it is very difficult to finish top 4 at the end of the season. Okay, so what do you guys think about this match? It was an insane match to watch. It was we had a really good entertaining. Okay, so make sure in the comment below. Thanks for watching, guys.